Let's begin by navigating to shared folders. Within shared folders, we'll drill down into our parameters directory. And then within parameters, we'll take a look at the starter params directory. The exercise we'll be looking at is the param measure switching starter. So notice that we don't have any visualizations. We do have a sheet, a blank sheet called measure switching, and we are using the Superstore dataset. I'm going to click on the parameters icon on the toolbar and then click to add a parameter. Within the dialog box, let's name this selected measure with a data type of string, value set to single value, and for our static default value, I'll enter the string sales and I'll click create. This brings up a dialog box. For our purposes here, I'm going to click on calculated field, which will bring up the calculated field window. And we're going to call the calculation dynamic measure. And the code is an if-else statement that looks like this. If else parameter selected measure equals sales, then return the sum of sales. If the parameter selected measure equals profit, then return the profit. Else return the quantity, the sum of the quantity. I'll click save. And then back in the analysis interface, let's click on that visualize icon to bring up the visuals pane. And then within the data pane, I'll select category, and then I'll click on that new dynamic measure. Now let's return to the parameters panel by clicking on the parameters icon in the toolbar. And let's interface with this selected measure parameter. The way I'm going to do that is I'll click on the kebab menu and select the option that says add control. For add control, I'll select the name select measure. For the style, I'll select list. And then let's put in the selected, specific value sales, profit, and quantity. And then I'm going to hide the search bar and then hide select all option. Let's see how these three things fit together. The three things are the parameter, the calculated field, and now the parameter control that I am adding now. So on the top of the sheet, we'll see this parameter control. If I click on the drop-down, I can interface with it, or I can select the kebab menu that shows up on the far right-hand side when I hover and choose the option that says move inside of sheet. So often you'll want to do this just to make a more intuitive environment, that is, put the control directly in the sheet. I'm going to size these objects on the sheet just for ease of viewing. So now we have our parameter control. And when I click the options within the parameter control, you're going to see that that's updating the visualization. And the way that's updating the visualization is via the dynamic measure calculated field, which is now sitting on the values well. Let's go ahead and double click on the title. That is the title of the visualization. Currently says dynamic measure by category. It's going to bring up a dialog box where I can click on selected measure and then enter the text by category. And be sure to add a little extra space between the parameter and by category, because the end result after I click on save will be profit or quantity or sales. It's not saying by category right now, so maybe I'll type that in first, by category, and then at the beginning add that selected measure. And the reason why I did that was so that by category didn't get stuck in this little selected measure section of the title. And I'll click on save. That looks better. So profit by category, or quantity by category, or sales by category. You'll see that as I'm interacting with the control panel, the title updates.